And then we get the main event, and we get a video teeing up the main event where they even mention that the only time MJF has beaten Hangman Page was the first time he got the Dynamite Diamond ring, and it was with the help of Wardlow. I was like, oh my God, I hope they are not foretelling something here, but they were not.
Well, he is working with they're teasing the Don Callis family MJF interaction.
I know. When they brought this up with Wardlow, and then again during commentary, I was like, oh my God, if Wardlow costs Hangman this, I don't know how well that would be received. But then we get like a mariachi style entrance for Hangman Page that is only topped by.
It was trumpets. I'm not sure if this is mariachi, but yeah, like.
Well, I'm going out on a limb here then.
Yeah.
So then we go to this Western style video with MJF that I don't know who thought of this. MJF had to do this deep Texas drawl, and the punchline is he gets off his horse and pisses on Hangman's grave as he then makes his arrival in a poncho with his Terry Funk inspired tights. So yeah, quite the idea that they had.
They were putting a lot of effort into some of these entrances here, whether it be with special package videos in the case of, Paige having like a live musician attached to it. And I thought like they all made the show feel a lot more special. But this one, maybe tonally, like again, with MJF, you're always going to get an element of just like, I think, comedy to it all. It, to me, didn't necessarily feel the vibe that you wanted to set up with Texas Death that perfectly. Like I was hoping, like somebody was going to die in this match is the type of feeling I was looking for,
So here was my thought at the end of this was that coming into this, they were stating how like MJF, he has never gone through one of these Texas Death matches. He's at the beginning of this match, he's running away from Hangman. He's like, it's MJF. He's this cowardly heel at the end of the day. And the idea is by the end of this match, he has gone through this war, that this should be a character-changing event for this MJF character that I think you should see afterwards. Like, I think that was sort of the idea here by the end of it all. And if that's the case, then I didn't have as much issue because I thought the same at the beginning where it was almost like he was playing this for comedy, but you see that evolve as the match gets like into the deeper water and as the violence escalates, that he has to get to that level to hang with Hangman. Pardon the pun. So we start off the match. It's his birthday, by the way. MJF is 30 today, so he gets a birthday card stapled to his chest by Page. We will go through as much as we can here, but there is a window introduced by Hangman. MJF gets control of the window and breaks the glass all over the mat. And Max says to the camera, "You won't catch me doing that indie bullshit." Well, there was plenty of indie bullshit to come because Page scoop slams him onto the glass, drags MJF's back, and then gets barbed wire, cutting open MJF's forehead and pulls the barbed wire through the man's mouth. MJF would eventually get a.
This was insane. Like this was, like he was, like trying to steer him like there were reins on a horse using barbed wire, and it provided this like incredible visual of like MJF's like he's got barbed wire pulled through his mouth. His face is full of like fresh blood, and his eyes are wide open, and the blood is flowing into his eyes. It was like, it was incredible, like horror movie stuff.
This was like 12 minutes in, by the way. Yeah. So MJF eventually gets a shard of the glass and just slices up Hangman's forehead and starts stabbing him. So both men are doing color at this point. And MJF gets a broom and he sweeps the glass out of the ring. And then Page breaks the broom and uses the jagged edge. MJF at this point gets the advantage and he goes underneath the ring and he pulls out the returning hypodermic needle. Mm-hmm. It's been on the shelf for over 2 years, and it was time to bring this one back. And he takes this needle and sticks it through the cheek of Hangman Page, where you see the needle go right through, pierces the skin, goes right through. And if that wasn't enough, he squirts the liquid in the needle just so you can see this. There's water firing off for your big visual here.
Yeah, this is what I feel like they were hoping for the first time they did it, like Page actually getting it through Swerve's cheek, they've perfected this spot by this point. They've improved upon it, and you had the squirting through the needle pierced.
They went back to the lab. They workshopped this.
Yeah,
and it was ready for prime time yet again. Bryan Danielson just says, "Guys, I can't watch this," and he follows that by, "I see a girl crying in the front row," and then later he just sounds so defeated as he says, "I think we need a moratorium on these types of matches." Like, it just felt like Danielson is not a guy who has he is not a guy that holds his cards close to the vest. Like, he really does come through in these matches. If this was him just trying to get over the severity of this match, he did a great job.
Exactly what you would want to say if you're trying to sell this match. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like Shivani, though, on the other hand, was like, This is incredible. We're never going to forget about this night ever. This is amazing. This guy's just
a sadist.
Just, what more can they do? So it continues as a barbed wire chair brought in. We get a dead eye off the apron through a table. Then they go to the opposite side, and now MJF puts him through with a tombstone through a table. Then they bring out the light tubes, and these fucking light tubes, dude, they go to the top of the stage, and MJF takes one across the back, and it just creates this big cut across his back in a straight line. And then Hangman takes the other light tube and breaks it over his head. But instead of the usual, like, just smash of the light tube, it's this thud as it breaks. And it was the thud that just sounded horrific on top of it here. So MJF is half dead. They fight by the edge of the stage, teasing falling off it, but that would only be a tease for later, because then we go back to the ring and the skewers are brought out. They tried to lodge the skewers in MJF's head. They tried their best here. These things were you hate skewers.
They were pretty successful, I would say.
They were there enough. I think they wanted.
Oh my God.
They wanted the Braden Harrington special. Like they wanted those things lodged.
Well, out of the bunch, what percentage of skewers do you think would be an acceptable amount to fulfill the spot?
I just mean that they fell out right away, but they got what they needed here.
They got these pictures, which are incredible.
You're right. Yeah. As long as they got one photo here, then it was a win. Hits the buckshot lariat, but MJF gets up at 9. And this is kind of the change of the tide in the match, where it's like, this is the, like, MJF gutting his way to get up after taking all of this from Hangman Page. And
yeah, I almost felt like to me, this almost telegraphed the finish, because it was like so one-sided, the beating now at this point.
I think a lot, like this getting up at 9, I think a lot of people figured, like, MJF is going over here in this match, unless you're doing some crazy booking idea here, because the way this was laid out was like, no, this match, the finish is about Hangman, but the match is about MJF and his like falling into like this deeper, violent, environment. So he gets up. And so Page gets out a double dog collar. I thought this was a really nice touch. Of course, the man who cannot be named, cannot be cited. Instead, we refer to the ghosts of Revolution Past as he ties up the dog collar to MJF, and MJF freaks out. He's yelling, "Not again, not again." And the crowd is chanting for fire. And Page is like, that's the one thing we're not doing in this match. So he's like, "Who's got a lighter? Who's got a lighter?" He was yelling.
He was more than willing to go there, and it tells you, like, I mean, there must be a level of just impersonation. Like,
I don't think you're not improvising fire off.
Well, why would he say it? Why would he say who's got a lighter?
Because I think the answer was I think he was just trying to get the crowd onto the next thing.
I wouldn't have said it at all.
It ended the chant, and then the chant came back like a couple minutes later, and he went right back to the chant. Dude, you're not improvising.
I don't think it ended the match. I don't think it ended the match. Oh, sorry. I don't think it ended. Well, I don't think it certainly didn't end the chance, because they kept.
Well, you weren't giving them fire, so it was something.
Well, I don't understand why he would ask then, because I firmly believe that he was willing to at least tease it, right? Because I don't know why he would ask otherwise. And
what would he do with a lighter? You got no lighter fluid here. You got like.
How do you know they don't have lighter fluid down there?
Why would they, dude? They're not doing a fire spot.
Again, I can't say that definitively. I just don't know why
they didn't do a fire spot. There was no plan for fire here.
Okay, fine. But is it not possible that he could have entertained the idea, at least through a tease or something?
I'm just working this out. If someone gave him a Zippo, what's he going to do with this?
Fucking grab the lighter fluid from under the ring and then tease the fire, or at least.
But you're assuming there's lighter fluid under the ring.
Well, why would you assume that there wouldn't be?
Because there's no purpose to have lighter fluid if you're not using it for a fire spot.
Fine. But so. I guess I just don't know why Page would even say it rather than just ignore it.
Well, they did move on because they did have other things to get to, mainly this dog collar. So he walks MJF to the ring with the dog collar, so they all chant, "He's a good boy," at him. And we get the buckshot attempt, but it stopped with a low blow. He hits a belt shot to Hangman, and Page is down. And Danielson thinks, man, that he hit him flush. I don't think he can do it. And he gets to 9. Hangman just pops right up. This was the equivalent of the 1 count kick out. But he just pops up. He was playing possum, kicks Hangman low, or kicks MJF low. But MJF comes back, hits him with the dynamite diamond ring, and knocks Page over the rope and hangs the Hangman and puts him out cold on the floor. And the count of 10 is made. And when that 10 is made, this crowd gasps. And the announcers are just shaken by the fact that Hangman has lost the match and he's out. It's a clean win for MJF. And then as Page is placed on the gurney, MJF stands on top of him, posing as, oh, and by the way, when after the hanging, Page's blood gets smeared on the camera. And this was clearly not planned for, but what an awesome shot here that for this whole final scene, you're watching it literally through Hangman's blood.
It made the finish. Like this blood.
Only a sick wrestling fan could find poetry in this, but it was. I mean, I thought this was such a nice touch that they didn't make like they could have just said, hey, clean that off. I'm so glad they left it. I thought this was such a cool visual of you're literally watching this through Hangman's blood as MJF has prevailed.
I thought it resulted in one of like the best visuals we've seen out of AEW programming. And of course, like it requires a wrestling trained production crew and director to recognize the value of the gold in this sort of like fortune of having like the finish result in a blood stain directly on the center of the lens. So credit to the entire team involved in emphasizing all of this. This match, we'll talk about the finish. But
by the way, 46 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah. This was a match that really had, like, I think the unenviable task of not just like closing this show, but to top all of Hangman's previous Texas death matches and also MJF's dog collar match. So they put it felt like they put every gimmick that they could think of into this match. And in terms of expectation, in terms of like value delivery for a pay-per-view main event, I mean, it completely delivered, and I would even say over-delivered. What you expect out of a sort of like Texas death match is, to me, like at this point in AEW, like sort of like lore, I look at these like the equivalent of like a great horror film, in that like they should provide incredible visuals, and they more than delivered that. I mean, look no further than like just even 12 minutes into the match and this gruesome scene of, you know, MJF like eyes wide open with blood dripping into his eyes as he's got a barbed wire, you know, a piece of barbed wire pulled through his mouth. I think the syringe spot was insane. The skewers were insane, and of course that incredible closing visual with the blood stain, you know. So all of this more than delivered, and I think we have to completely commend the incredible effort and creativity of the performers involved. But I will say, I thought this match was a bit overstuffed. I don't think they needed as much as they did put in there, because there was a point where it kind of felt like the intensity of the match might have been taken away by the amount that they were trying to do. And you're also combating, you know, a crowd at this point that was already kind of tired, by extending the length of it, by going to the ramp and then coming back and doing, I think, a lot of things that ultimately...
we skimmed over. I missed the spot. They did the spot coming off the stage with the explosions. I don't think I've ever enjoyed that spot in wrestling. The pyro assisted fall off the stage that is done a lot. I don't have that many different opinions of it than you. I don't think that this one reached the intensity of Swerve and Hangman. It was such a different dynamic from Moxley and Hangman. Like that was the big accomplishment. You were doing the polar opposite finish of this. The finish is going to be graded on what Tony's booking of this is, because you did this once with Cody and it turned out to be a big negative. So Tony Khan has had all these years to redo this one, and like we will look back and see like where this one ends up going with Hangman Page. I mean, you either have to violate a stipulation or you have booked one of your top acts out of the main event picture, which, I mean, the booking will outline. Like maybe he has, since the Cody thing, he's got this grand idea for it. But like that is what this is going to be judged on with the stipulation.
Yeah, and what could those grand ideas entail other than like Page going back on his word, which I feel is possible. Like by the end of Cody's thing, like we were all demanding that he just like ignore it, but I think it would be very unsatisfying, right? Creatively. So what do you think? Like, what about like, could he go for a separate? Let's say if they, you know, like entertain the idea of a brand split, maybe like try to prop up another championship to be your A level. Would that constitute not going for like fitting into all of this?
I actually I dislike that idea because it almost then paints that title as you can't go for the big title. So this is literally the number 2 title. And we're telling you it is. Like, yeah, you could have him like, you know, Swerve wins the title and then Hangman does the most despicable thing by going back on his word to take the title from his rival. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I think like Hangman is this great character that is one I don't know if I would want to go that direction with. So I hope he has like a great idea for it. Like I think that was the intriguing part of this main event because it was not time for MJF to lose. MJF, by the way, both men were excellent in this match. It was just a lot that they crammed into this one that it felt like until the 10 was rendered, it was like the gravity of the stipulation didn't really dawn on people till the end. Yeah. And throughout the match, it was just like escalating what's going to be the next violent thing we see. And not so much this, like, we're all like rooting for Hangman to pull this one off. It didn't have that same type of feel to it.
Agreed. And again, going back to what we were saying earlier, I mean, these shows are being sold on the idea of excess, right? Like you're going to get more than your money's worth, and you want the feeling of like being over full and that you were getting more than what you paid for the show. They completely honored that and they completely delivered that. But I will say, like, there was an intensity to, I think, like maybe the better examples of Texas Death that I feel were kind of lost here because, you know, these audiences were reacting to the spots, but then they would quiet down as they would just anticipate the next one. And it just felt like more of a succession of like big, gruesome spots rather than, I think, like what you were watching here. And that's Page's final attempt at winning a championship.
The Post Wrestling Cafe is your one-stop shop for all of the coverage that Post Wrestling has to offer. 2 big rewind-aways this month with WWF Insurrection from May of 2002. This UK-only pay-per-view featured the Raw brand going overseas and ending with the infamous plane ride from hell. Then we're going to take a look at AWA's Super Sunday from April of 1983. A new edition of Talk Can Be Yours, plus MCU Later, Book Club, and coverage of UFC 326, TNA Sacrifice, and of course, XL editions of Rewind to Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown with all the news of the day. Join now at postwrestlingcafe.com.